Hey coders, it's Jenny. Welcome to class 8. Today we are going to be working on an escape room. An escape room is a room that is locked from the inside and you have to find puzzles or objects to escape the room. So let's get started. So under your classes you have your project and you also have a sample scene. Let's walk through the sample scene first. So if I press play, I notice that I'm in a house. If I start to look around, I see on the wall right here, it says find the key to open the door. So I'm going to look around the room to find the key. Well, I notice here there's a key here. I also see a mouse on the floor, and he has a key as well. If I press the mouse, he starts to run around. So notice that there's all these distractions or decoys in the room to take me away from the real key. So even these cabinets open up. Doesn't look like the key's in any of these. So you want to put obstacles in your scene to make it harder to find the actual item. Well, if I keep walking around, I notice that the desk is actually clickable. So let me click that and see what happens. And there's the key in here. So let's see if this is the right one. When I click it, it expands and starts to spin. So that indicates that that's probably the right key. And now this door opens over here after I click that one. So let me click the door and see what happens. Great, so now it takes me to my second scene. So notice that there's all of these trees and grass and foliage to hide the item that I'm looking for. So it makes it more entertaining and more fun to go around and look for this item. So I notice that it's nowhere in here. I do see a bird over here, and if I hover over him, I can see that I can click him. Okay, so he's giving me a hint. Oh, well, I see an item over here. Let's see if this is the item they're looking for, and it looks like I can click it. Okay, so that's expanding, so that tells me that's probably the item I needed to find. So the rocket's flying away. Okay, and that took me to my last scene, and it says that I escaped, so I know that I won the escape room. So for this project, you guys should have at least 3 scenes, and if you remember, I can click over here and add a new one. Or if you want to be creative, you can actually go ahead and have at least 3 rooms in this scene. So if you remember from our building the house project, we went ahead and built our own house. Well, you can go ahead and do the same concept and have at least 3 rooms that the player needs to escape. So the first step is going to be setting up our environment. So for my project, I'm going to stick with the house, but remember, you guys can be creative and choose a different environment, or once again, you guys can build your own house. It's up to you. Once you have your environment, you want to go ahead and start adding things into your scene that will help hide your object. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and add furniture into the house and add some distractions, and also I'm going to hide my item as well. So go ahead and pause the video and start decorating your scene. Once your scene is decorated and you have your object hidden, you want to go ahead and start coding some of these things. So I'll walk you through one of them. So I'm going to show you where I hid my item. So I hid a phone, and the phone is going to actually be in this book here. So if I open it up, there's my phone. So now I want to make sure that the player is actually able to open up the book. So all I'm going to do is remember, we want to make sure that code is turned on using code blocks. So now when we go to code, make sure you choose code blocks if that pops up. You're going to go to events, and when the book is clicked, drag it over there. And if it says something different, remember that you can change it there. So now when the book is clicked, we're going to go to actions, and the first one, we're going to set the animation of the book to open. So let's press play and see what happens. All right, so if I go to my bookshelf and I come over here, now my book opens and there's my phone. Notice that I can't click my phone right now, and that's because I didn't code it to do so. So I'll go over that really quick. All right, so if I open my book back up, I want to make sure that using code blocks is turned on for the phone. I want to make sure that my book is closed again. All right, so now if I go to code, now that the book is programmed to open, I want to make sure that my item is programmed so that it will take me to the next scene. So if I open this up, I want to make sure that my phone is turned on, and it is. All right, so now if I go into my code, I can put when the smartphone is clicked, and then it's up to you. For our example, we had it where it expanded and it made it bigger. So you could do that. You could potentially change the color or even make it go invisible. It's really up to you on what you want to do. So all of these actions allow you to do different things. So for my example, I'm just going to show you how to go to the next scene, and I want you guys to be creative. So if you want to wait a second, totally fine. Let's wait 2 seconds. And then right here under control, go to scene. Right now, we don't have another scene. So if you remember, I can go here. I can either duplicate it if I'm going to do a similar scene, or I can create a new scene altogether. It's going to be a 3D environment. So now if I go back, I can click scene 2. When I press play, and I'm outside, that's okay. Go over here. Open the book, I click the phone, it's going to wait for 2 seconds, and now I'm in my new scene. So if you're doing a full house, you're not going to need that code. Okay, you might need something opening a door or maybe a bookshelf moving out of the way so that the player can walk through. But if you're doing multiple scenes like I am, this is the code you're going to use. So I went ahead and I coded some of the objects to open up when I click them. Remember that you can only do this with objects that allow you to animate them. So I wouldn't be able to do this with 3D models, and then some of the objects here I just can't animate in general. So you want to make sure that you're able to do that. So what I did was I coded the desk. So if I click the desk, this opens up. You can add an object in there, and then also I open this up, and you can add your distractions and decoys in here. And notice how it closes automatically. So how I did that was I used the same code when desk is clicked, setting the animation, and I put a wait for 2 seconds. You can wait for as long as you want, and then I just set it to closed instead of open. And a super easy way is I can right click, I can duplicate and just drag that under, and that will save you time when you're going in and coding these things. So I want you to pause the video and go ahead and code at least 3 to 4 items to open up with the decoy inside of them. So if you remember in our example, the key expanded and then it would spin around. So I did show you some of the things you can do with actions. Well, if you wanted it to scale up, like in our example, you can use this one right here, which is under transform. So if I drag that over, this is up to you. So if you make this number bigger, it's going to make the object bigger. And then the seconds is just how quickly that item is going to shrink or enlarge. So if I do something like 3, 1 second should be good. Let's try that out. And this will take a couple times of testing to see what you like the most. So now when I press, and that's expanding the book. So let's see what happened. Right here. So I pressed scale book instead of the smartphone. So let's go ahead and change that. Perfect. So now it should work. There we go. Okay, so that's probably too big, so I'd want to shrink it down. So like I said, you just want to go ahead and test it a few times and see what you like the most. But this is a good way to indicate to the player that they did in fact press the right item. So that didn't enlarge at all, so 2 is probably going to be the best one. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video now, and I want you to add some kind of element to the object that you're finding to help indicate to the player that that is in fact the correct item that they've clicked. So if you remember from our example, there was text on the wall that told us what we were going to find. Well, in my example, I'm going to use this girl named Sally, and Sally lost her phone. So you can either go ahead and right-click and just have her say that she lost her phone, or if you wanted to code it so that when you did find the phone, she said something else, we can do that in here. So let's see. I can put after when play is clicked, under actions, I can say, Sally says, I can't find my phone. Please help me. My parents will be so mad. Okay. So now when I press play and I look at Sally, she's telling me that she can't find her phone and that she needs help. Great. Well, now, if I wanted her text to change and maybe her animation when the phone was found, I can do that under when smartphone is clicked. So I can duplicate this. Once again, this saves me time. And then I can drag and drop this depending on where I want it. So now Sally may be thanking you. And you can also change the animation so she doesn't look so upset. So maybe Sally is cheering. So let's see how that looks. Alrighty, so Sally's angry, she can't find her phone. Well, if we click this, we click the phone, she's excited and she thanks us. And then we go to the next scene. So I want you guys to pause the video and go ahead and add either a character, an animal, or text on the wall that indicates to the player what they need to find. Alright, lastly, before we move to our next scene, notice when I press play, the camera is pointed this way. Well, that's not very exciting, and it doesn't really tell me where to move in my scene. So what I can do is I can point the camera in a different direction that helps the player know where they should try to look for the object. So with this little blue circle at the bottom here, I can go ahead and turn it. And I'm going to turn it to face Sally because Sally is explaining to me what object she needs help looking for. So now when I press play, my camera is pointed towards Sally. That's a lot more exciting than looking at a wall. And now I can move from here. So same thing, for example, if you wanted to start outside the scene, you could do that as well and have the players walk in from the outside and can do it that way too. I've created my scene too. I have Sally speaking through a speech bubble, but also I have Sally speaking using my own voice. So if you wanted to do a voiceover for your characters, you're able to do that as well. So let me show you an example of how that sounds and looks like, and then I'll walk you through how to program it. So if I press play.
Help me find my princess crown so we can play princesses.
So that was something I recorded and put in here. So let me show you how to do that really quick, and then I'll walk you through what I did for my scene. All I did was I went to upload, sound, and then I pressed record. So here, you're able to actually press record and record whatever you want your character saying. So once you finish that, you name your file, which I named mine Sally. And now I can move over to my code. I can go to actions. And because it's the first thing that I want to happen in my scene, I'm going to put it under when play is clicked, like that. And then I can change it to that sound that I named. I named mine Sally, so that's that. And then all this is saying is if you want this to happen before your scene starts to move. So for example, if I had this as true, the text wouldn't pop up until this was over. But I want the text to pop up at the same time, so I'm going to leave it as false. And then once again, it should play.
Help me find my princess crown so we can play princesses.
This is not required for the project, but it is an option, and it is a fun way to incorporate your voice into the scene. So if I walk around, I don't see a tiara out in the open, but I do see that I can interact with this. Let me open that up. Doesn't look like there's anything in there. So as you notice, I put things on the ground to distract the player from looking for the crown. So they're going to think maybe it's in the desk. Well, if I come over here and I look, I can see the crown right here. So if I click on it, it expands and then it takes me to my third scene. So do not copy what I did. I want you guys to be creative, but I want you to pause the video now and start working on all of your scenes. Make sure they're decorated. Make sure there's things out there that are going to distract the player from finding the actual object. So pause the video now and go ahead and finish your scenes. Alrighty, coders, remember you should have at least 3 scenes or 3 rooms that are coded and also filled with objects that are hiding the items in the scene. You should also have a character or text that's indicating the player where to go. Well, that's it for this project. I can't wait to see you for the next one. And remember that you can use the Oculus Go if you have one, or the VR viewers, which you can purchase on our website and use a compatible smartphone with. Alrighty, I'll see you at the next project, guys. Hope you had fun.